Welcome to Real Money Talks. Real strategies from the moneymakers and the world changers that you can use to make millions, keep those millions, multiply your wealth, and build your team. Here's your host, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View, Laurel Langmeyer.
Hi, this is Laurel, and welcome back to Laurel's Real Money Talks, the podcast that talks about making money, keeping money, investing money, the latest in money, what's going on in capital raising, what's going on in deal structure, just anything about money we talk about here on this podcast. So today I brought back a partner, great guest, Ben with me. We have been deep in the cannabis space, and you've heard him on a 4-week webinar for many of you. And if you would like that, you can go over to asklaurel.com and put in your name, phone number, and email and say, hey, I missed that 4-week webinar with Laurel and Ben. I'd like to get a copy of it. And then we have a 3-day live seminar that we did in Vegas and did tours of the dispensary, of the cultivation, of the grow. Extraordinary time. So now we're fast forward to what's going on today. So Ben, welcome back to Laurel's Real Money Talks.
Thank you, Laurel. Happy to be here.
And so talk a little bit about 6 months forward from where we were in really kind of becoming partners, putting on a first seminar. We'll be putting on another one very, very soon. So stay tuned for the dates and the announcements of that. But the industry is ever changing, probably one of the fastest growing spaces right next to cryptocurrency. So talk about some of the changes since, the beginning of the year's turned and what you're seeing.
Well, of course, the marijuana business is just continuing to expand. And that's what you're continuing to see. These licenses, the regulations, and the legalization has continued to expand and has gone into place. Like California is officially legal now, and that market is booming there. The Nevada market continuing to expand. You're seeing continued progress of legalization for medical marijuana on a global scale. And Canada's all a bit closer. And as we continue to see this amazing compounding record growth in such an explosive industry, that it's been a lot of fun to be a part of.
So talk about some of the pros and cons. Like we were talking to some folks, so it's going to kind of go around the update. And then I want to really talk specifically about those of you that are interested in investing in cannabis, different ways that we're seeing that being done, and just to give you some tips on how to be looking for what it is you're really looking for if it's part of your investing portfolio. But talk about like Washington and Oregon. They're an interesting, we've had a lot of talks with them, and they said their prices have just dropped so significantly, cautioning people to get in. It's just not worth it. The prices will continue to drop. Talk a little bit about that trend and really the truth of whether that's even going to be occurring or not.
Well, you certainly have a ongoing increasing supply, and the price of marijuana is obviously driven by your supply and demand ultimately. That's why there's kind of nice things about, certain states and earlier stage markets in getting in at the earliest time possible as these markets continue to open and capture, because you'll never make as much money on a per pound basis of marijuana as you will in the early stages of legalization. Certainly when there's first a medical market and then later on when there becomes an adult use. So you're seeing these more mature markets like a Washington. And Washington has low prices, but that's in large part due because they have these massive outdoor grow capabilities. Same thing in Oregon, that you're seeing this low grade, high volume, low cost product that has been flooding the market. There's also boutique, indoor grown, high quality products that there's shortages of, and they get some great pricing on those things. And so, but you want to capitalize on these markets as soon as you possibly can. That's why you got to take action and find the opportunity to get in there. And even though prices have come down, you still see solid pricing from an ability to make a profit and to make a healthy profit, even with the plummeting prices. The reason why prices plummet are because there's so much margin. You go from this 10x margin down to where you only have 2. And so people want to complain. So that's why you got to start your process to run an efficient business and to find those that can, so that as the efficiencies in the market drive down the price, that the business itself, because of its core efficient operations, are still profitable, even at a fraction of the original prices. You still make money, you just make less of it. So that's why we're trying to get in, trying to capitalize on these opportunities as early as we possibly can, and to get that distribution in it. Because at the end of the day, those are two key elements: are capturing market share, efficient operations, and the distribution. And if you can get your distribution going in whatever deal you get involved with, guys that can understand that, people that can understand distribution is your key of making a great product, and that distribution. If you can't get that done successfully, those guys are going to struggle. And a lot of people think they can just grow marijuana and then it's just going to start printing money. Well, a lot of people are finding out that that's not the case. You still have to block and tackle, as I say. You still got to run a business. You still got to be efficient. You got to sell. You got to market. You got to package. The days, especially in states like Washington and Oregon, of simply growing a plant and being able to sell it are gone. You've got to be better than just simply growing any crap marijuana product that you can produce and sell it and make a lot of money with it.
So as you look at the markets, and it's interesting to watch Canada, we just extended till, I think, September 1st. Isn't that correct? Somewhere around there. They've extended with July 1. It's been moved back. As you look at the different opportunities, because there are so many, clearly all the states that haven't even become legalized are going to be, up and coming opportunities. But what are the ones you see right now? Clearly we're in California, we're in Nevada, partnering with some folks in Canada, but where's the real opportunity? Because I think you just pointed to the biggest mistake, which is everyone just wants the cultivation side and they're not looking at the rest. Where's the best opportunity?
Well, you got to look at those markets. California, I think, is, and obviously we're not the only people to believe it, California is probably the single largest market in the world from a single jurisdiction. And we want to capitalize on that. There's a lot of people that are going to try to capitalize on that. But anytime this process in California, while it's been going on for years, the legalization from a regulatory perspective began January 1st of this year and is transitioning all of 2018. This is a transition year for California. So they're beginning to put these regulations in place. And while people may have been in the business for a long time, the nature of the business is completely changing for them. And they're going to have to comply with these new regulations. The majority of people in there, in fact, Leafly did a survey. They went in and did a blind test. It took 10 samples off of, I forget how many dispensaries. I want to say it's like 20 dispensaries. They went in and bought like 10 samples of marijuana, and they went and tested it to the new standards that everybody has to comply with. And I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but it's something like 95% of all of those samples failed the standard of the new regulations that are put in place. It was over 90%. I think it was 95%. So these people that have been operating, it's a new game. It's a new sheriff in town. And you're going to see, I call it the California chaos. So I think you're going to see beginning this year, and you're already seeing, if you go look, there's already articles talking about, people talk about the oversupply of California. Well, that's from the market that's not totally complying with the regulations. You'll find articles of people that are trying to comply specifically with the law as it is expected to be followed in this coming year. And they're having a hard time finding other people that comply with that law also. And they're having supply problems. And that's why I call it the California chaos. So that's why I think California is a tremendous opportunity to be smart and to maneuver within that market to capture market share of what's going to be, probably $7 billion a year worth of marijuana sold in the state of California every single year, just in that state. Nevada is a different story. It's a different beast. You have a smaller market in terms of population, much smaller market, but you have a massive entertainment tourist market. And probably the best competitive thing that we like about Nevada is the fact that there's a limited number of licenses. If a person wanted to go start today in California and go through all the process, you have the capital, the know-how, and so forth to go begin in California or Colorado or Washington or Oregon, you can go get those licenses. If you went to the state of Nevada today, right now, walked in the front door and said, I have $100 million state of Nevada and I want a license to do whatever it is I want to do in marijuana, they're going to say, sorry, we're not taking any applications. You cannot apply to get a license in the state of Nevada. They will probably open up another window in time, one more in the future, possibly to get some cultivation and some manufacturing licenses, Possibly. It's at the discretion of the state. It's expected to be one more time. After that, I don't think that there will ever be an opportunity. So we already went in and we capitalized on that, and we got several licenses in Nevada to position ourselves here so that we can expand and bring that upon there. And that's one thing that's really unique about Nevada is while you're having this expanding market, you have this protection that Nevada has done, and by trying to limit the number of licenses to try to protect against that collapse that you've seen in states like Washington, when you really have them in the fall, when you have these huge outdoor grows that come in, they have that one-time harvest in the fall. So that's why we really like the California, Nevada market. Outside of that, we see the globalization thing is, we've got licensing for exporting throughout the world that we're working on doing as these countries continue to come on. And within the United States, I love Michigan. I love Florida. Florida is going to be a great opportunity in the future. Difficult to get into right now. Michigan is probably, I would say, outside of California, Nevada, Michigan is probably the best opportunity right now in the cannabis space in the country.
And why do you think Michigan?
Just a great market. I know people that are doing business there. The market's been very vibrant there. You don't have the same elements you have in Nevada. It's more like California, very friendly, easy for consumers to be able to access, which helps to drive the demand. Some states like Nevada, when we were medical only, the state made it very challenging for patients to be able to access marijuana. While it was legal, it would cost you hundreds of dollars and take you sometimes several months to be able to get a medical card. And that was a damper on the demand because it was so difficult for people to be able to gain access legally to the market. And Michigan's made a very patient-friendly state. So they've really allowed that. And you got United States, you got other markets as well if you can capitalize on them. But they're all these markets, Massachusetts of the world, great market. But you better have a lot of money to go in and compete there, which you have to have a lot of money in any of these markets, to be honest with you. But you also have to have amazing political connections because there's a limited number of licenses in some of these states that make it very challenging for people to be able to capitalize on.
So Ben, let's talk about the investing side of this. I mean, there's tons of IPOs that are out there, some that are just really just paper and total air pricing that's, as you and I see, way off. I mean, if people look at different opportunities, they can do the IPOs, they can go private. Let's talk about the investing spectrum that's out there right now and what you not advise, because I know we're not financial planners, we can't advise people, but where's an entrance for some people and where would you avoid even looking?
Well, I think when you're investing, you're looking for something that has obviously first a legally compliant structure, whether you're on the investing side of it or on the raising capital side of the equation. We've got rules set in place that your whole audience knows about, Regulation D, to help people to typically more sophisticated investors or a smaller circle of investors to be able to invest into it. So Regulation D allows for private placement type capital, friends, family, contacts, acquaintances, those types of funds, predominantly accredited investors. The Jobs Act brought about this great Regulation A+. It really started with what we all think of crowdfunding, but Reg A+ allows for general solicitation, it opens up for anybody to be able to invest. It is changing the way that small companies have been able to raise capital, really in a way they have not been able to do in decades under the United States securities laws. And I personally am very excited about Regulation A and the opportunity to do that. And then the public markets, they have their place. It's a different beast when you're trading as a public company. They all have pros and cons to them, but from an investment side of things to them, the public company is great because you have access to more immediate liquidity in the marketplace. That in turn usually drives, it's kind of to your point, that drives what can seem as really crazy valuations sometimes because there's this huge upside and people are buying and selling based on the speculation of the future of the market. And so that can create a different unique opportunity. And each one of them, I think you have to look at it. If I'm looking at any one of these deals, I want to find ones that actually have licenses and rights and zoning. I don't want to get into something. There's different stages of progression. And I've seen a lot of offerings where people say, I want to get in the marijuana business. I know nothing about the marijuana business. I've never been in the marijuana business. But give me your money and I'm going to go figure out how to get in the marijuana business. And some of them may figure it out. That would be a deal that I would want to probably stay away from, because I want to find people that have experience in a proven track record on being able to move through the process. If you get in at an earlier stage of that investment, you'll typically enjoy a higher rate of return and a higher upside. If you get in at the end of the growth and development cycle, i.e. when it's profitable, making money, and generating millions of dollars of cash flow, of course, you're going to pay a higher valuation for that, because you've removed some of those risk elements, if you will, of that building process of building that business up to where it can be operational. So it depends on where you want to be. And I think I like that middle stage opportunities where you get the companies have already identified the assets, already have identified the licensing, and are in the phase of building and developing, because I think that's where you get the biggest bang for your buck, that's my opinion. Or the companies that have the other big upside, which are in the process of or are going public and have that opportunity because they're cash flowing and they're making revenues, or are soon to be making revenues and profits, and have that significant upside that the public markets can bring. But I think it depends on where you are and where you want to be in it. But I think that investing in with other people and other deals just reduces your risk and spreads that risk around from other people, rather than you going in yourself saying, I want to go in and build my own cultivation facility. You're talking a lot of money, and I think it's substantially higher amount of risk. Again, depending on the person's background. But for most people that lack the marijuana background experience, that partnering in or investing in with those that have that experience, I think is the best way to go.
I would agree. Talk a little bit about the international market. You had mentioned that, and the importation, the exportation, because mostly what we're seeing in the United States not going to allow it. We're hearing, Canada does allow exportation. South America is allowing importation. What are you seeing on that front as other opportunities to invest globally?
Yeah, that's one thing people don't think about. I think especially in America, we think about the United States, we think about California, Washington, Oregon. The reality is it's a big world out there, and they have health issues in a lot of other markets. Countries like Germany, as an example, they legalized medical marijuana. The state controls the distribution. It goes through the German pharmacies. And when they first established, they didn't set in place any processes to manufacture, grow within their country. In fact, they didn't want to. And so they've been importing it from some companies, like in Canada. There's a handful of people that have export licenses in Canada, but there are 35 countries around the world that have existing legal medical marijuana laws. And when you think about it, when Germany legalizes medical marijuana, it's Germany. It's not the state of California. It's the federal government. So when they legalize it, that means they can legally import it as well, because there's 35 states that have that, or 35 countries. The UK and Ireland, I was just on a phone call this last week with people over there. That is in process. The UK and Ireland, I think you're going to see legalization happening in this next year or so. And that's federal level. And they want suppliers not from within their country. They're not envisioning that the supply of medical marijuana is going to be produced within that country. It's going to be imported from someplace else. So that's where I think globally, there's a lot of opportunity. Australia, all of Western Europe, of course. And eventually, there's not a lot of legalization in Asia, but eventually, I think those countries will be coming around as well. Countries like China and India. India probably sooner than China. And can you imagine what an amazing opportunity India and China would be?
Oh, unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable.
So over the next several years, when countries like India and China come in and legalize, India, there is stuff going on in India. China is much further behind, but realistically, India will be coming online.
So Ben, I appreciate all your insight and knowledge. I know we have a lot of awesome opportunities in addition to probably a 2-day tour that's going to be coming up, where we're going to walk you through a seed to sale in Vegas, a different one than those of you that have been listening before. So stay tuned for that. And Ben, any last words of wisdom to our folks that are listening from all over the world on this podcast?
It's a great point, Laurel. Get educated as you do workshops and people can participate in it, to see and to get educated in seeing that. So staying informed with you, and we'll do our best to keep you informed, is what we see of what's going on a global scale in these markets as they're developing, and opportunities that they come. That's the most important thing, to begin networking so that when you're there, you can be educated on these opportunities and be able to participate in and take action on them when they come. We see, and I see opportunities all the time that come and are there when we can take action. And that's what we do. Laurel, you and I did that. There was an opportunity. We had to capitalize on it. We had to take action, and we had to do it quickly. And those are the best opportunities in the industry because it is so quick and evolving. And you need to be ready to understand and recognize a good deal when you see it and to be able to take action on that immediately. And so that's what I would say is stay educated, stay within the community so that you can get that education, gain that awareness so that when the opportunity comes along, we can take action, capitalize on it. And in that early process, we get onto it early, we can maximize the return on it.
Absolutely. And as other states become legal, we like that it's not federal right now for a lot of reasons, and we're going to continue to bring that information. And coming soon, a quick change of topics, we will be talking more about crypto and a specific ICO that we're going to be working on, and cannot wait to bring that to you. We both believe the cannabis and crypto will make the .com look like the .bomb, huh?
Yeah, tremendous opportunity. You know, I grew up in the .com era, and I thought, man, I don't know that I'll ever have an opportunity like that .com era again in my lifetime. And I can't believe that we have two opportunities in an industry at the same time. It's amazing. It really is amazing.
So, Ben, thank you for being on, and all of you, thanks for listening to Laurel's Real Money Talks. And we will be back every week, same time, same channel. And if you enjoyed this podcast, pass it on through iTunes or your app store. And if you have any questions or have requests, go to asklaurel.com. Put in your name, phone number, and email, and ask any question, make a request, and we will be right back to you. Have an amazing day. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Real Money Talks podcast. Your host has been Laurel Langmeyer, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View. Want to learn more about off-Wall Street investing, tax strategies, and multi-million-dollar business strategies? Visit laurelsrealmoneytalks.com for past episodes, show notes, and resources. For some special wealth-building gifts only for Laurel's podcast listeners, visit laurelsrealmoneytalks.com/podcast gifts. Do you have a burning question for Laurel? Visit asklaurel.com to submit your question, and it may just be covered on a podcast episode. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to get new episodes every week.